when are you falling? Snow, snow, none of your stalling. Autumn's gone and winter's here. It's just about the time of year, you know, for a beautiful snow. Fall, fall, quiet and pretty, fall all over the city.
Hello and welcome to episode 5.7, the November 12th, 2025 Lake Effect edition of Notes from the Aisle Seat, the podcast that covers the arts in northern Chautauqua County, sponsored by the 1891 Fredonia Opera House. My name is Tom Laughlin, and I'm your host as we bring you news and information about arts events at the Opera House and around the region, including interviews with artists and creators across the county. As I record this, the first Lake Effect snow event is taking place in the region. Autumn still has another month to go, but here in Chautauqua County we know that this is the shot across the bow, telling us that winter is close at hand. I spent some time last week battening down the hatches, putting summer gear away, and getting things into winter storage. It's always a good feeling to know that you got all those chores done, so you can enjoy a nice mug of hot cider and just watch the snow fall. We've got a couple of operas to talk about in this episode, and I have just the person to talk with about both of them. The SUNY Fredonia Hillman Opera this year is Gian Carlo Menotti's The Consul, while the 1891 Fredonia Opera House will be presenting Richard Strauss's romantic comedy Arabella. Professor Don Marrazzo graciously agreed to discuss both these events with me, and here's part one of the interview, as Professor Marrazzo talks about the Hillman Opera production of The Consul. Once again, I'm very pleased to bring into the podcast with me for a double session here. We've got Professor Don Marrazzo. Don is assistant professor of voiceover at the School of Music, and he is also the producer of the Hillman Opera, and he is one pretty busy guy, so I'm really grateful to get his time. Thanks, Don. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Tom, for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure.
So let's talk about you first, because that to me is the most important thing, what you're doing and the things that you're giving to the Fredonia community. Now, this is your third year, I believe, as producer of the Hillman Opera, and you have chosen a very interesting and contemporary and award-winning musical, Gian Carlo Menotti's The Consul. And it's a really fascinating piece of musical work. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 1950 for music, and yet, that and it has all kinds of tradition behind it, but you talk about the Consul and Menotti to people and they almost don't know who you're talking about. So why don't you fill us in with really what this contemporary composer was all about?
Yeah, so it was so The Consul is a piece that I've known for a long time. I have hugely connected to it. I think it's an extraordinary piece. I had produced it when I was the director of casting and artistic operations at Glimmerglass Opera, now the Glimmerglass Festival in Cooperstown. I had produced it there in 2009. I had known of the work before then, but through producing it there really developed an even deeper appreciation for the score and for Menotti's genius. So, Menotti was a fascinating composer. He's born in Italy, he was really a prodigy, completed his first opera at, I think, 11 years old. And then he graduated from the conservatory there, where he was raised in Italy when he was 13. And then he came to study at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, which I'm also an alum of. And so I had really kind of baked into my DNA during my studies already very young, an appreciation for his work. And he became very good friends, and eventually they became life partners, he and Samuel Barber. So he had really an incredible musical upbringing and pedigree, and became one of certainly our most celebrated when he was alive, living opera composers. He was one of, I think, the most performed living opera composers at the time. And so, in addition to him winning the Pulitzer Prize in 1950 for the Consul, just a few years later he won it for another opera, The Saint of Bleecker Street. And it's an incredible score, The Consul. It's based in a kind of undisclosed Eastern European country, unnamed Eastern European country, and it's basically about a family, the Sorel family, who are trying to escape authoritarianism and a totalitarian government, and they are trying to find to get visas to get out of the country. John is a revolutionary. His wife Magda has been charged in the show with getting the family out of the country to safety. They have a sickly baby, and John's mother was a pivotal character, and this is sick as well. And it's a very timely story. I mean, the world is going through so much right now that this is very timely, but it's timely regardless of whatever generation it's being performed in, because these things happen all over the world all the time. And so it is an important, relevant story. The score is incredible. And I wanted to produce it here at Fredonia, not only because we have two incredible casts. It's a hard piece to cast to begin with, but to have two casts who can do it in a university setting is really extraordinary. So we have two wonderful casts. That's not the only reason for doing it. Fredonia has an incredible history with this piece. There was a production in 1982 that my predecessor in this job, Julie Newell, who you know very well, she was the Hillman Opera producer for 27 years. She's an amazing singer, incredible voice teacher, and did an amazing work as a producer. She was a student. When she was a student here at Fredonia, she sang Magda Sorel in the Consul in 1982. And Laurie Tremuta, who was also a wonderful singer here, they were both students here at the same time. They were both in that production. Julie was Magda, and Laurie was the secretary, which is an incredibly important role. She's the gatekeeper, let's say, to the Consul, right? And so they performed in that. And then in 2013, we did a wonderful co-production with Western New York Chamber Orchestra that featured alum and current students. So it's a remarkable piece. It's an incredible piece. It's an important piece. And I really hope people will come to see it. Yeah.
Yeah, the I was listening to, parts of some productions just to be able to get my ear attuned to Menotti's musical style, and it's interesting to me because you hear you really can hear echoes of people like Puccini. He was very much a descendant of the Verismo style of opera, and he also was sort of a very it was very resistant to the atonal kinds of music in the 1950s, like the Philip Glass and all of that kind of thing. Can you speak to that a little bit about why he followed, people like Puccini instead of Glass in terms of composing his music?
I think, the thing is, he was writing at a time where there was a lot of exploration of tonality, to be honest with you. And I think that they were pushing boundaries, but at the same time, as any composer is faced with this reality that people have to also want to hear your music, right? They have to want to actually to experience that music. And so I think they were pushing the boundaries a bit on this. I think with his own upbringing in Italy and the music that he was exposed to early on, I think that kind of grand Italian opera was very much in the blood to begin with. But then also in his studies at Curtis, after that, he was also, like I said, he was partner to Samuel Barber, who also very much explored this kind of line, kind of walked that line between more romantic period opera and 20th century and 20th century more contemporary music. So also the time period they lived in, they were traversing that line, right? They were coming out of this more romantic period, and that's what they were raised in and loved and appreciated, but also they were pushing the boundaries with 20th century more atonal music, more contemporary music, let's say. So you look at Menotti with the Consul, with the Saint of Bleecker Street, with these scores, and you look at Samuel Barber. His Antony and Cleopatra opened the new Metropolitan Opera in 1966, right? So, and at that time, it's interesting. We look now, for example, at Barber's Antony and Cleopatra, and for us now, it seems pretty tonal. It's actually something that falls more in the, but at that time it was like scandalous. The Met audiences were like, what are you showing us? What are you giving us? And it's kind of the same with Menotti, right? What is beautiful about this, and that's why I really hope people will come, is that yes, there are elements of certainly 20th century music and where let's say the melodies or the tonalities get a little bit crunchier, quote unquote, but the underpinning of this is romantic opera. It
Yep.
is. So, people who come are in for a really wonderful treat of how lush and melodic the score is. And I think the singers really feel that. They feel that he knew how to write for the voice very, very well. So,
One of the if I may make this observation, one of the things I also noticed that Menotti seems to be particularly adept at is taking dialogue and making it musical.
yeah.
If you know what I mean by that, you can hear some of the exchanges in the first act, for example, between the secret police and
Yeah.
Magda and her mother. Um, it's almost theatrical in the way that it's the dialogue takes place, and yet it's all sung, you know. And then as soon as that happens, after the secret police officer goes, then there's this wonderful trio that the three of them
Yes.
sing, which is again, all of a sudden you're transported to the world of Puccini and melodic lines and stuff like that.
Incredible.
It's kind of fascinating, I think.
Incredible. It is. You're absolutely right, Tom. And I think, he was a master of, he had incredible intuition for drama, theatricality, suspense, all of this. I mean, it was, he really, and he wrote this, he didn't call it an opera. He called it like a musical drama, basically, right? Because he wanted it to be, I think he worried about at the time a little bit of a stigma about what opera was, and we still battle that on the daily, right? That there's this association with what opera is, and is it only for the elite and all of this, and there's this whole thing, and no, it is not. It is for everybody. Anybody who responds to it is interested in it. But he wanted it, by calling it a musical drama, to be as accessible as possible to the largest group of people. And he did not open it in an opera house. He opened it in a Broadway theater.
Hmm.
He opened it in a theater where it ran for a number of months. I mean, it had like, several hundred performances, and it really, it's exactly what you're saying. He created what feels like a theatrical piece set to music. And so, just like the bests did, if you look at like Mozart, right, with recitative and those kind of spoken but sung moments, and then going into the big set pieces, the arias and the ensembles, and I think Menotti really kind of followed that in a beautiful, beautiful way with this. It's a remarkable story. What he's done, it really feels like a theater piece. It
Yeah,
really does.
it
Yeah.
does, and I want to tag onto that just a little bit, if I may, and extend it a bit, because I was taken by what you said about him wanting to have opera, more tuned to the common person. He was an innovator in presenting operas to that new medium called television.
Yeah,
I believe his Amal and the Night Visitors was actually written for TV and became a staple of
exactly right.
Christmas presentations from the time he wrote it to, quite a long time.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And I think he did so much for bringing opera to a much larger group of people. And so I think that is, I mean, I look back at that era. I'm sad to have not been alive during that era, because you would see, Amal and the Night Visitors on television. You would see Tosca with Leontine Price on television. There was this thing. Yes, exactly. You would
Yeah.
see this thing where it was accessible and it was considered part of the mainstream in many ways. It was like Carol Burnett having Beverly Sills on and all of
Yeah.
these. I mean, it was really part of the mainstream. Johnny Carson, all of these talk shows who had Renata Scotto on and Pavarotti and all of these people, and I kind of have great nostalgia about that and wish that we still did that, because it is such a moving art form. And I think what really sometimes distances people from it is they just don't know it. They're not exposed to it enough.
Listen, let's talk about a little bit about your helpful creators here. I know you got a lot of co-creators here, director, and I also know that it's a full production, by the way. It's going to be in the Marvel Theater, so there's sets, lighting, costumes, all that kind of stuff.
Correct.
The
Correct.
set is probably very stark. Usually, it's presented as very bare and gray and somber and poor.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what is really wonderful is that our director for this, Daniel Lenzian, who's here in the School of Theater and Dance, he's an incredible director. He's very active also, and he directs not only here, but he's very, very active in the theater scene in Buffalo and Western New York, but also beyond. And what I love about it is because this is a heavy subject matter, Dan has said from the beginning, he's like, I don't want to play only the heaviness of this. There has to be really the sustaining of hope throughout this in the characters, and that they hope they hold on to the hope that they are going to be able to get out and get to a safer life and a better life and all of this. And so this is a piece which can derail very quickly into heaviness for the entire 2.5 hours. And he has been really wonderful about, like I said, making sure that there is a feeling of hope throughout this as well, which then creates a huge contrast when we have these heavy moments that happen later on in the show. So, but he and our creative team, we have David Stellahorn who's our technical director, Hyla Stellahorn who's doing set design and props, Jessica Lustig who does costumes, Jaden Zulo on lights. We have really just an incredible design team on this. And it is showing kind of, yes, it is stark in the consulate, but also we split between two sets with the Sorel home and then the starkness of the consulate. And I think that the home, there is a really big difference between that because the home represents warmth and hope and comfort and these things. And then there's a very big visual difference between that and the starkness of the consulate. And they've done, I just was seeing now, like, our students are going in for costume fittings, and so they're sending me pictures of things and being like, look at my costume, I can't believe and it's just incredible what's happening. So I think that, we're so fortunate to work, Hillman, to collaborate with the School of Theater and Dance here, because they're just an incredibly talented group of designers and people who are producing every year after year, beautiful results, remarkable results. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like a fascinating production. I mean, Menotti is one of those composers that when I think about him, I know he's a contemporary, but there's a lot in his music that's very traditional and beautiful and wonderful. And in a certain sense, I don't know why it is, but every time I listen to a Menotti opera, I always get the sense of the spiritual about it. His music really takes you to that level, I think, and I think audiences will feel that if they go to see the production.
It does very much like, I think, I love that you bring it back to the Puccini and these masters, because in all of those scores you walk away from, La Boheme, Madama Butterfly, you walk away from all these with um, an incredibly emotional reaction, a connection to the work, because there is something so deep and slightly haunting about what's happening musically and melodically, and it leaves you with, it's so touching. And there, I think Menotti really, that is in his blood. That's probably that Italian
I
kind of
think so,
part
yeah.
of his DNA where, even if people don't know this music, or they don't walk away humming a tune because they don't know it yet. I will say, yet. Hopefully they'll, but they're going to walk away, I think, profoundly moved by the music in this, really, I think, and by the storytelling of it as well. But just, I mean, I listen to the score and I am so moved by what he's done musically, and also because he's also his own librettist, like
Yes.
you said, what he has done also in the poetry of the language, the storytelling. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's just amazing. The SUNY Fredonia Hillman Opera production of The Consul will take place Thursday through Sunday, November 13th through 16th in the Marvel Theater at the Rockefeller Arts Center. Performances on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, November 13th, 14th, and 15th will begin at 7:30 p.m., while the Sunday, November 16th performance is a matinee beginning at 2 p.m. Tickets are $25 for the general public, $10 for students in advance, $15 for students at the door. Call the campus box office at 716-673-3501, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 9 to 3 to reserve a ticket. We'll get back to part 2 of my interview with Don in a moment, but first, let's take a look at the arts calendar for November 12th through 26th. The Cinema Series will be presenting the film Roof Man on Saturday, November 15th, and again on Tuesday, November 18th. Both screenings begin at 7:30 p.m. Roof Man, starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst, tells the unbelievably true story of Jeffrey Manchester, a thief who robs McDonald's by cutting holes in their roofs, whose life becomes complicated when he falls for a divorced mom. Tickets are $7 for adults, $6.50 for members, and $5 for students, and can be purchased at the door only the night of the screening. The SUNY Fredonia School of Music has a number of events taking place in the next 2 weeks, including performances by the Vocal Jazz Combo, the Wind Ensemble, the Sinfonia Percussion and Friends, and several other events. For complete information, please click the link at the bottom of the show notes for events, times, and locations. The Lakeshore Center for the Arts will be presenting a single afternoon performance of It's a Wonderful Life, the radio play, as part of the Christmas in a Village event on Sunday, November 30th at 2 p.m. in the Jacalyn Phillips Theater in Westfield, New York. Tickets are free, but you must make a reservation on the website in order to reserve a seat. Click the link at the bottom of the show notes to reserve a ticket. The Songwriters Circle at Lakeshore Center for the Arts will continue its series on Wednesday, November 19th at 7:30 p.m. in the Jacalyn Phillips Theater. Performers will be the songwriters Glenn Bernardis, Amanda Bridges, and Antonio Andrade. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased online by clicking the link at the bottom of the show notes. And remember, if you have an arts event you'd like mentioned on the arts calendar, please contact us at the Opera House at 716-679-1891 or email us at operahouse@fredopera.org. Please give us at least a month's notice of your event in advance to ensure a timely listing. Now let's get back to part 2 of my discussion with Professor Marrazzo of the Live at the Met performance of Richard Strauss's Arabella. But now we're going to switch to something completely different.
Yes. 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 Romantic comedy. We're going to a romantic comedy.
Comedy. We're going to go to romantic comedy here now and talk about, we do have a Live at the Met production coming in, since, you're one of the people I count on to give me expertise on what's going on at the Met. We have a production of Richard Strauss's Arabella, which is coming up to the Opera House on Saturday, November 22nd at 1 p.m. I was puzzled by Arabella to begin with, because first of all, here we have another storyline of men behaving badly and everybody forgives them. You have to explain this to me, because I couldn't get my mind wrapped around a German composer and romantic comedy.
Yeah.
So do something with that for me, will you, Don? Get my mind straight here.
So I love Richard Strauss. I do love his music. I would say now when we talk about like German composers, and also if you talk about even Strauss's own catalog, his own canon of his repertoire, right? There's a lot of variety. So if you talk about like Die Frau in Schatten, or you talk about Elektra, or you talk about this, that is totally different than Der Rosenkavalier or Arabella, or so. And if you go to see Elektra, for example, it is absolutely not what Arabella is. So you go to, to Elektra, and it is very dense tonally and melodically, and it is one of these operas where where you can really be like, where is the line? Where actually is the melodic? Like, how do I follow this in a way? When you hear Arabella, it is extremely melodic and beautiful. It is some of the most beautiful music. Same with Der Rosenkavalier. People always ask me, what are your top 5? Der Rosenkavalier is always in my top 5, which I never would have thought, because I agree with you. It's like, if you think about German opera in terms of Wagner, that is something very different than, or if you think about like Wozzeck by Berg, or you think of something that is totally different than what is Der Rosenkavalier and Arabella and these kind of pieces. So Der Rosenkavalier always features into my top 5. I think it's an extraordinary opera. And Arabella also is, let's say, top 10 or top 15 for me. But it's a wonderful piece. The first time I saw it was at the Academy of Vocal Arts in Philadelphia. I saw a production there that they did with, I believe, Corinne Winters, who's now having a huge career, wonderful singing career. And it is, okay, so romantic comedy. Here's the thing, by a German composer, right?
Okay.
if we make a generalization, if we say, okay, what is German humor? What is versus British humor versus, right? But of
Right.
course, I know I have a number of German friends, several German friends who have healthy senses of humor, right? So I think that so um but I think that this was a collaboration with him and a final collaboration with his librettist, von Hofmannsthal, right? And they did a number of works together, and I think that he probably found this, or had this idea for this score, or found this libretto and was like, this is a wonderful thing to set music to. And okay, is it comedy like Hardy Har Har, elbow in the rib kind of? No, it's not. It's not that
It's
kind
not
of.
like a Mozart comedy or something.
It is not. It is not that kind of. It is
It's not.
not also. It's not Rossini, Donizetti. This kind of. It's not this kind of. Barbiere di Siviglia. It's not this kind of humor, but it is. There's a ton of charm in this work, and it is. It's disguised, of course, between like Zdenka, who becomes Denko, who's dressed as a boy, and there's mistaken identity and all of these, and there is certainly humor in it. I wouldn't say that it is a hearty har har opera at all, but it is charming, and
No.
it is definitely comedic moments, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful score, and there is also a lot of romance in it, and there is a lot of heartfelt emotion. And I will say the final aria that she sings, Arabella, is just to die for. It's incredibly beautiful. So there are many reasons to see this, and the Met production is, I will say, I'm sorry to ramble, but it's not a work, Arabella, that is done so commonly, that is just programmed so frequently. Typically, they will produce it with an Arabella in mind,
Hmm.
right? With a Mandrika in mind, with somebody where they think, okay, we have a really extraordinary cast who can do this. And the Met has really, they're producing this with an extraordinary cast in mind. Arabella Rachel Willis Sorensen is having a major career, a really stunning career for, I would say, probably the last 15 years, 10 or 15 years. I was at the Met when she won the competition several years back, and she was already, you could see when she won as a young singer, I think she was 26 or something like that. You were like, okay, this is a person with the promise to be a major international singer, and she's delivered on that promise. She's had a really major, very important career. She's a beautiful singer. She's a wonderful actress. There are a number of clips online that you can find, numerous videos of her, and she's a deeply compelling performer. Louise Adler, I saw when she was in the Cardiff Singer of the World competition, the BBC competition, and she was brilliant, just brilliant. I mean, she's a wonderful singer and artist as well. And then Julie Jose, who is doing Fiacre Mili, she won the Met competition a few years back. She also won Operalia, and she's a beautiful singer. And so they've really put together, like you say, between Karen Cargill and Pavel Breslik and this Tomasz Konieczny. I mean, these are like amazing, incredible singers. So they really have an all-star cast here. Wonderful, wonderful conductor, Nicholas Carter. I mean, I think it's going to be a beautiful production.
One of the fascinating things, and I'll leave it at this, that when I was looking at Arabella, I don't know who developed the plot, if it was both Strauss and his librettist together, but they put
And
together some very, very stock plots
yeah,
together to form this love triangle, or this whole, an aristocratic family that doesn't have any money
right,
anymore.
exactly,
So it's trying to keep up pretenses, and and,
exactly.
and so Zdenko is a
Yes,
boy, which allows for a pants role,
exactly.
and I love the explanation, because it just costs too much money to bring two girls daughters out into society. We can't afford that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there is that a little bit of comedy. And
I think so too. And I think actually it's actually incredibly human, this kind of work, because it is what I mean with people in the world throughout any period, but today, especially, with things that happen economically and like things, what's happening financially with people, and all of a sudden they don't have the money they had, but they're keeping up appearances and they're doing this. I mean, this is like in any era we have this, right? I mean, this was the scandal with Mozart when he did like Figaro, where he started really showing the complexity of the relationships between, in terms of like hierarchical classing and all of this, the classes, and people were like, well, you can't show that, but it's real. That's the thing, is just nobody wanted their lives to be shown. So actually, this story, which of Arabella, it's decidedly human actually, because it is that so and so is dating this one who has this, and then they're not maybe not dressed as a boy doing that, but there is a lot of disguise and intrigue and complexity in human relationships and in life. And so I think it magnifies all of that for a theatrical production, but we find really human elements in that.
We do.
Right?
We
All
do.
day.
And
Yeah.
even though the boys are still behaving badly, it'll be all right in the end.
Exactly. I mean, this is all of Così fan tutte as well, right? The men
Right.
were just the disgusting. So the women were like, "We got you, So I mean, yeah, it's
Yeah. It's amazing. Don, it's a pleasure to talk to you. As always, you're so knowledgeable, and
thank
you
you,
know your world of opera so well, and you're easy to
thank
talk to.
you,
And
thank
I
you.
think that that's one of the things that you really do well is make sure that we understand that opera is about the human things we see every day. It's not some big highfalutin thing. It's really a chance to see incredible musicianship about things we all know about,
Yeah.
really. Let's face it.
And I appreciate that, Tom. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me on. It's always wonderful to speak with you.
Okay, great. Wonderful to see you, Don. Thanks a lot,
You
and good
too.
luck with the Consul for sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The Live at the Met performance of Arabella will be screened on Saturday, November 22nd, beginning at 1 p.m. Tickets are $20 for adults, $18 for members, and $10 for students. As a special event, Professor Marrazzo himself will be presenting a pre-opera conversation prior to the beginning of the opera, starting at 12:30 p.m. If you've enjoyed listening to Dr. Marrazzo during these two interviews, you will enjoy him even better in person, as he brings you into the world of Arabella and prepares you for a deeper enjoyment of the performance. Don't miss it. Live at the Met is part of the Arts in the Afternoon series, sponsored by Dr. James and Marcia Merrins, and underwritten with support from Daniel S. Kaufman and Timothy W. Beaver. Also, a reminder to consider becoming a member of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House. Without the generous support of our members and donors, we would not be able to present the events and concerts that we do. Your membership is critical to making it possible to bring the arts to the northern Chautauqua region, and we are grateful for every member. Membership has its benefits, so consider joining today by clicking the link at the bottom of the show notes and choosing your level of membership. And while you're at it, why not consider an 1891 Fredonia Opera House membership for somebody for this holiday season? It'll make a great gift.
I fly early. That's my thing. I always fly early. If there's a problem, you got time to fix it. I fly so early, I got to the gate once. Coffee shop's not even open yet. It's just me and a guy about my age, and he's in a wheelchair, and we're both waiting to get coffee. Now, he gets a phone call. Coffee shop opens. I figure, let me treat the guy, right? I come back. I give him the coffee. He thanks me, introduces himself, and we shake hands. Now, no sooner do we finish shaking hands, the guy gets out of the wheelchair. Now, considering I just physically shook his hand, as you can imagine, my first thought was, I think I just healed this guy. I don't even know what protocol is. Do we call the Pope? What do we do? Right? Do I not wash the hand? And then he sees the stunned look in my eye, and he goes, oh no, I work for the airport, pushing people when the planes get in. And I just got in early, you know? You don't sit in the wheelchair, guy. What do you think I'm gonna go? No, even though you're in it, I assumed you could walk by the way you were wiggling in it. Of course, then my next thought was, this guy owes me $2.50 for the coffee.
You never just talk to comedian Pete Correale. You hang with him. And if you have tickets for one of his 2 shows at the 1891 Fredonia Opera House, you'll discover from the get-go how hilarious it is to hang with him. Here's my recent hang with Pete for this episode. Listeners should be advised that this interview is rated R for, shall we say, colorful language. I have with me someone who needs absolutely no introduction to the Fredonia crowd. It's Mr. Pete Correale. He's coming to the 1891 Fredonia Opera House once again on Friday and Saturday, November 21 and 22, 7:30 p.m. Pete, welcome to the podcast.
All right. Thank you for having me, Tom. It's always a pleasure to hang with you. I've told you how I feel about you many times, man. You're a bit of a inspiration for me to get into everything that I do now, and I've said that the last time we hung out, so I'll bring it up again when in a little bit. But great to see you again, my man.
Yeah, and it's always just such a pleasure to see you, watching you, the success you're having in the world of comedy and stuff like that. I mean, I get a thrill every time I watch you. I grab a podcast here and there with you and Sebastian, and it's just like. Okay. Well,
I appreciate it.
The thing I'm most afraid of is that you're going to make me laugh so hard I'm going to snort, you know?
Oh, jeez, thank you. That means a lot coming from you, I'll tell you.
So, tell me a little bit. Let's start with the tour. We are honored because I looked at the tour list, and man, we're the only place where you're playing 2 gigs, man. We sold you out so fast.
Yeah, well, you guys are the best. It's Fredonia, it's the hometown, it's people I know, so everybody comes out, and we had it went pretty quick, so we said let's do another one, let's have some fun, and I'm looking forward to it. My only pet peeve, and I've said this a million times to Rick over at the Opera House, that you can't have a beverage. It drives me nuts. You can't even have a goddamn glass of water when you watch the show. It's like insane. You know what I'm saying? You could drink more in the Museum of Natural History walking around in New York City in the Museum of Natural History with a cup of coffee than you can in the Opera House.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
yeah.
Well, have you seen the new seats? I mean, if you see the new seats,
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. We got a whole bunch of new seats last year. They just ripped out all the old seats. If it was the old seats, I'd agree with you, but these new seats are new seats, you know. And we're a little bit afraid of somebody coming in and barfing all over them. So, you know, we got to play it cool.
I understand.
But I can't say that I blame you. I blame you.
Well, I just always feel like comedy, I feel like it's something that I've always felt like should go with a beverage, you know, like a concert. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't disagree with you, but I don't know how many National Historic Sites you actually play at. So, you know, maybe that's part of it.
True. Very true.
Very true. So you put this tour together. You're going to be gone for a long time. You're going to Hawaii. You're going to Vegas. You're going to Florida. How's life on the road for you these days? How are you dealing with that?
It's like the cliche. When you're up there, it's the fun part, but the rest is a pain in the ass. It's what's interesting is I just came off a tour where I was opening for Sebastian for about, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 months. And, just again, to the viewers, I'm not like saying bragging because this is only, I just got to be a part of it. It's not because of me, but it was private planes. It was like, I just got to walk you through it because it was insane.
That's great.
You're playing these arenas, right? It's like we played Madison Square Garden 5 nights in a row, sold out. So like when you're playing in these arenas, you perform, then Sebastian goes up and he performs. He comes off. You all get in an SUV with a police escort that takes you out, whisks you to the closest, private airport. You get on a private jet, and then we've always had like less than an hour flight. And by the way, I'd have like a bottle of Blue Moon beer, after the show. Right. I'd be chatting with like the road manager or something. And then we got to get in the SUV. I still have my beer. And then I get to the plane, and then I grab another beer on the plane. So then you get off the plane, and there's another SUV, and people take your bags the whole way, and then it takes you to a Four Seasons. And when you get to the Four Seasons, there's a person out in front with your key. So you don't have to go to front. Here you go, Mr. Correale, And the whole time, it's like, it's almost like being at a bar and having a beer, but like, oh, I was in Houston, and now I'm in Dallas. It's like unbelievable. And then I go out on my tour, and I'm at a, goddamn Holiday Inn asking the front desk where I can get something to eat. And she's like, do you have Uber Eats? Because we're on the shoulder of a highway and there's nothing around here to eat. I'm in Waffle House at 2 in the morning, getting a Texas melt because it's the closest thing. So it's almost like I almost wish I didn't get to do the Sebastian part because it's like going from hot water to cold water. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's really,
so I-
you have to fly Southwest too.
yeah, exactly. Oh God, too. Last seat on the back of the plane. I stuff everything in my knapsack because I don't want to pay for carry-on. It's just a different way of going about it. But no, but seriously, the shows are great. I tour when I tour though. I do Fridays and Saturdays, and then I go home. I don't do all week long, so at least I can be with my family during the week. And that's the way I do it. And the biggest thing is like when you first start doing stand-up, you just want to get any gig.
Yeah.
And then as things evolve, now it's at the point where you think now, okay, now it'll be fun. But then now you get your promoter call and saying, we're a little light in Cincinnati. Can you make a promo of it? Like the minute you hold up your phone and go, hey guys, I'm coming to Cincinnati. That's the minute anyone who's a performer knows, okay, he's not moving tickets in Cincinnati. So now it's desperate time. Now he's got to do something to appease the promoters to make it look like it. So it just never ends. You know what I mean? I just, like Louis C.K. is playing in the theater I'm playing in Honolulu, Hawaii, the day after me. And I think it's been sold out since 1987. Like he's already sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it's just a different thing, but it's I love doing it. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, and I feel grateful to be at the level I'm at. It's just you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
Being an actor all those years,
Right.
and still acting, right?
Yes.
I mean, left and right.
Yeah.
Do you ever how do you handle? I'd hate to get into it so quickly, but how do you handle when sometimes you see a performance or something that you could look? Sometimes you're like, okay, I know I got a lot of confidence in myself, and then there's other times where you're being completely honest, and I'm a better actor than that person.
Right.
And there's so many other things involved than just the skill of doing the craft. And how do you keep those things from bringing you down and affecting your craft?
Well,
Do you teach that?
Yeah, I used to teach that a little bit. Yes, I used to teach that. But, and the way I used to do that, I mean, it's just it's a hard pill to swallow, I think. But of course, in my classroom, I always said the number one rule is it's not fair. And until you can handle psychologically the idea that things aren't fair in this business, you're never going to make it otherwise. You have to look at that particular performance. And I've seen, over a 40-year acting career, I've gone to shows and watched people play roles, and I just look at that and go, oh man, I could do 10 times better than that. That's
Right.
I remember going to a show in Asheville, North Carolina, and I walked out of the theater afterwards, and my wife said, well, how'd you like the show? I said, listen, I could do a better one-person show than all 15 of those people who just did.
Yeah.
But you absorb that and you go, okay, well, I wasn't there in the right time in the right place. But that's the whole thing, and that's why you got to fight like a dog to just to keep on going, and it never ends, Pete. It really doesn't matter. You think at some point you're going to say, oh yeah, well, I've reached the point, everybody knows me, everybody knows that I can do this, that, and the other thing, but they still want the audition tape. They still want you to come in and do something. They still want, it seems like it's never ending.
Yeah.
So being able to psychologically realize that, okay, it's not fair. This is the way the business is.
Right.
You have to make your peace with that. And if you can't make your peace with that, you might as well go be an accountant.
Yeah. Wow. Well put. It's like I saw an interview once with the great Jeff Daniels, who says that every actor needs those 10 years of bitching in the diner in New York City about all the other actors getting parts. You need that. That makes you stronger. It makes you better. It's like, well, Jeff, it's easy for you to say that because you came out the other end of that as a movie star.
Yeah.
There's still people 30 years in, still sitting in that diner bitching. But that's what I say to comedians starting out. They're like, you have any advice? I'm like, there's really only one piece of advice that you need, and then everything else will fall into place. And that's, you have to love this so much that you can't imagine not doing it, because that's how much the people you're going against love it. They'll sacrifice families, they'll sacrifice money, everything just to keep doing this thing. So That's what you're going against. That
Yeah.
kind of level of passion. You know?
Yeah, and it's really tough. Listen, here's a question I'm dying to ask you because I know that
Yeah.
we've been through, people have been through a lot of stuff in the last like 5, 7 years, blah, blah, blah. What you're going out and you're talking to comedians. What's the pulse of the world of comedy today? I mean, what are people thinking? What are they avoiding? What are they not talking about? How are they facing the challenges
Yeah.
of trying to be a comedian in sort of this post-COVID world?
Right. I gotta say, I know that comes up a lot. Sometimes I think that's a little overthought. Like I don't think much has changed with what you can and can't say. I'm sure there's certain words like that maybe are not accepted or not. But it also depends what kind of comic you are. I was never the kind of comic that was so offensive that I had to pull back. Um, so you only see it slightly. The way it's really changed is how you become successful. When I started out, you would like freaking play these clubs and try to grow and be in the craft and get funnier and funnier, and then a reputation would develop. And now, young comics, you may as well just sit in your basement and make videos until one of them pops, and then go on stage with any shit act you have. It doesn't matter anymore. It's so watered down now that when audience sees a good comic that's not famous, I sometimes think they don't know what to make of it. They're like, oh, wow, this guy's like really good. I was totally acceptant of coming out to see a shitty performance right now. And I'm actually seeing a good, it's a watered down thing. And just, the way the comics are becoming famous, and it's not dissimilar to actors too. It's like, it's less to do with the craft and more to do with the public, the promoting.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that way it's different. But what I got lucky is I had to pay my dues, and now I go on stage and I'm not worried how it's going to go. I mean, and that's not to say I won't have a bad show, but even if I have a bad show, I've been doing this long enough to know the sun's going to come up tomorrow. But you see some of these web internet stars that influencers, and then they got a show, and you'll see them backstage, and you see that they're freaking out because they really don't have the chops to be doing it right now.
Yeah.
And then so that way it's different. But yeah, I don't know. People were offended 10 years ago, and they're offended now. They're always offended. Freaking. One time I was on stage at in New York City at the Comedy Cellar. It just sticks out. It's like a Sunday night, and I'm telling a story about my wife. And we were out and doing something, and I was making fun of my wife, and the lady goes, "Oh God, if it's so bad, why are you married?" And I go, "Lady, you want to know the truth? We had a beautiful day. We went for a picnic. We even kissed and made out in the park. Who does that at our age? Is that funny? Is any of that shit funny to you? No, it's not. Yeah, like you're mad at me for making fun of my marriage, but that's what's funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So you can't win.
No, you can't win. No, you can't win. I mean, I have the same. But I have to be, Pete, you got to be careful when you're talking to me because I'm one of the 7 Italiophobes left in the United States. So,
you saw that on the cast when I
did. I saw that on the cast. Yeah.
That's someone who doesn't like Italians. I didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. Like I said, I think there's one guy.
Yeah. I'm the guy. No, that's not true. My wife's Sicilian, and I got stories, but
I bet.
That's a whole nother.
What do you do? Let me ask you something.
Sure.
When I'm doing a show and there's a guy in the front row or something and he's not laughing, like it'll drive me nuts if everyone else is and there's not one guy. Me and Sebastian joke about this. And you'll turn and almost sabotage your own show in the middle of everyone else laughing to look at that one guy and go, "Guy, what's going on here? Did somebody die? What's the problem?" As an actor, you can't do that. And
No.
I feel like I used to joke about that on stage. I'm like, I could never be an actor because I'd be going up there going, to be or not to be. And if someone wasn't in the front row laughing, I'd come right out of character and go, "Nothing with this guy. I'm nailing this monologue and you're giving me shit." So again, what do you do? Do you try to deliver it differently, or do you not worry about? Are you not even thinking about the crowd?
I'm not even thinking about that. I mean, and that's the problem. You can't afford to think about it. But I will tell you that sometimes, there's a couple of ways to do Shakespeare. One of them is to put the fourth wall up there, and other times it's just to take it down. And I like taking it down as much as I possibly can because that's to me is the real thing. Like if I'm playing a comic character, I love to deliver stuff to the audience, just like I was a stand-up comic, except it's just in character, and I've got specific lines to say, but I've been known
Right. Yeah.
I've been known to vamp a little bit here and there,
Yeah.
small little things you can't get away with. And you do it because the audience feeds you, you do those little things, they laugh, and you go, yeah, see, that works. That makes the whole thing more relatable to them. So that's what I like to do when I'm
Right.
working with that. But I can't go as far as you. I can't all of a sudden stop and talk about, uh yeah, how my wife is
Whatever
the
you
only
want.
how my wife's the only woman in the world who takes all the dishes in the sink and actually organizes them into piles, into silverware here, and she stacks all the bowls and stuff like that. And I got to take it all apart and put it in the dishwasher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ah,
Love it, man.
hey, listen. How's the elephant in the room here, Pete, is that you left us in Fredonia. You moved out to Rochester,
I
and
did.
that's
did.
okay. I'm not going to hold that against you. I just want to know how the move's going. How's it working out for you? You got to be a little closer to the airports, really, right?
Well, I am. I'm closer to the airport, but there's also like the airports are a little more. Rochester, they cancel flights quicker than they do in Buffalo. Buffalo's bigger and a better hub, so I still actually fly out of there a little bit. Yeah, no, the move's great. We're really happy here. I loved obviously Fredonia so much, and it's funny when you leave a place like Fredonia. Like, we lived in New York City and we lived in LA. You leave those places and everyone's like, good luck, take care. They don't care. But when you leave Fredonia, it's a small town. So people in Fredonia are like, oh, you leave better than us? Where you going? Where you going? Screw him. You're dead to me now. Like, they get mad at you. They want to know why you're leaving. You got to watch what you say. Me and my wife and daughter just learned to just go, oh, lots of different reasons. Lots of different reasons. Like, I don't know. Drinking water? That would be nice. I mean, literally, I had someone ask me, why am I moving? I'm like, God, you're boiling your water while you're asking me that question. I mean, shit. Even in town, this is what drove me nuts, Tom. The freaking school wants like minimal stuff for the kids. And everyone votes no, no, no. Then they go, okay, well, we need a roof. Can we have a vote to raise the taxes a little bit for a roof? I think it was like literally going to be $5 a month for. And people are putting up signs in their front lawn going, enough is enough. I'm like, I'm just saying this on stage. The sign costs $30. That's half the year's worth of what we're asking for, and just to keep the kids from getting wet. I mean, holy shit. And why does everything have to be a vote? Why can't you just raise the taxes? Just raise them, So so those kind of things you tend to weigh out a little bit, but overall, yeah, we just, we had a lot of different reasons to move, but the people were the hardest reason to move.
Yeah.
Just salt of the earth people in Fredonia, man, good people.
Yeah. I hear you on that. I really do. Listen. I'm going to ask you one question, and then I don't know where the conversation is going to go after that, but we'll see that. But you're an observational humorist. I mean, your comedy is based on watching people and all of that kind of stuff. What when you look at what people do and how they behave and stuff like that, and you make comedy out of it, what's like the oddest, weirdest, like, can you believe that kind of thing that you tend to run into as you go out on your trips and tours and all of that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, there's specific one-offs that you see. Like I saw a guy recently sitting Indian style in the airport. Oh, you can't say that. I'm sorry. Sitting crisscross. There you go. There's one time you were asking.
Hey.
Oh my God. Yeah. I did a show once and the lady goes, you can't use that word anymore. I go, lady, don't even worry. Indians don't come to my show. It's not a problem. But anyway, he was sitting crisscross, right? And then he had his food on the chair, like he was using his chair as if it was a table. Mm-hmm. So he was sitting there, and where your ass would be, he had his food, and he's a man with a suit, and he had a tie, and he's just eating, and like it was just so unacceptable that like I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's just amazing to me when you travel how people don't care what other people think anymore. They just there's no class. But on a minor level, and this is just me, it drives me nuts. Men flying in flip-flops and shorts. I don't get it. I never will. You may do that too. I just don't get it. I mean, when I'm on a plane, I see a man's feet. I can't even finish my coffee. I mean, holy shit. So, but if you listen to the cast, Sebastian and I got a lot of hangups that like are just a little irrational anyway. So,
Well, yeah, I noticed that, but I don't think they're irrational. I think they're. I heard Sebastian talking about the influencers on his way to Saudi Arabia doing their
oh
GoPro
yeah.
stuff. I heard that routine. I just went, oh my God. I mean, if you think you're old fashioned, I'm more old fashioned than that, and it's like, why do people do that? Why do they do that, Pete?
I wish I knew. My wife runs marathons. She just ran the New York City Marathon 2 days ago, and you may have seen her probably around town without even knowing it. She runs with another woman, and they train like crazy, and they like really, really successful. Like my wife's run, and I only bring this up, but she's run like all the majors from Africa, Tokyo, Berlin. But here she's in New York doing it and invited. They're invited through the Marathon Association because they have such good times. So as far as their age group, but they're in the corral. My wife's like, we're in the corral at early in the morning. You're freezing. You're waiting for your turn to run. And she's like, and then like someone showed me on their phone live, going over to Verrazano when the marathon starts, where all the elite runners, the Kenyans and that, there's like two people that are just regular runners, but they're influencers. And through a promo with MasterCard, they're running, going, guys, look at us. We're on the Verrazano with the leader. And like, didn't earn it at all, man. So these influencers getting things that they don't earn. They don't like to Sebastian's point. Years of stand-up, invited to go to Saudi Arabia and fly on this thing. And in front of you is somebody that just turned on their computer in a basement and, and just, whatever. So, but I guess we got to wrap our heads around the fact that these are the new celebrities. Movie stars are dying on the vine.
They are, yeah. You don't see it.
Unbelievable.
Mhm.
Remember years ago, not even years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, when you go to watch a movie, you go, who's in it? If no one was in it, like not even a Baldwin brother, if there's nobody in this thing, I ain't watching this shit. Now you don't care. You don't care if you don't know any of these people, which maybe that's a good thing for actors. I don't know.
Well, it's a good and a bad thing. I mean, it's like anything else. The more you spread it thinner, the less you get and the worse it tastes. So
yeah. Wow, that's a really good way of putting it, man. Holy shit.
Yeah. That's how that goes. I mean, hey, listen, before I gotta let you go. I'm having a great time talking to you, but oh my God, it's like I could do this for a half an hour. I almost did actually. Listen. I want to pitch an idea. You and Sebastian should write together a television. I know you've written for television before, so this is nothing new for you, right? But you should write a television show about two guys in somewhere in the South Shore of Nassau County who run a pizza joint. And as far as I know, nobody's ever located a comedy series in Long Island, in that kind of milieu of Long Island.
Wow.
And I think that it would be something. They're all over the place, but that culture is so specific. It's delis, it's pizza places, it's all American drive-in. It's all kinds of stuff that I think would be pretty fascinating. And you and Pete could be partners, and you and Sebastian could be partners in this pizzeria joint. And and of course that allows all kinds of strange people to walk in all the time, and misbehave, and you got families on the side, that are giving you trouble. You don't know if the pizza place is going to survive or not. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Pete, this pizza place that I used to go to as a kid, where I used to spend 25 cents to get a slice of pizza, is still open.
Oh my God! Yeah, we all know our ones from Long Island. I had Snookies across the street from the Oakdale train station.
Yeah.
Dollar slices by the end. Yeah, man.
Yeah. We lived on the South Shore there of the Long Island Railroad. We never thought that Oakdale was a real place, by the way. we always thought somebody made that up. Oakdale, where's that?
Oh yeah, no, we were there. Oh, it's funny that you say that. Well, I wrote on Kevin Can Wait with Kevin James's sitcom, and that took place on Long Island.
Yes, it did.
But we didn't really like focus on Long Island things really that much. You wouldn't really necessarily have known it. And Kevin doesn't even have the accent anymore. So,
Right.
the
Right.
most authentic thing about that show was me when I would talk, just in the office, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You still got that accent, and boy, I tell you, I love hearing it. I love hearing it.
Oh, man.
Oh man, Pete
Thank you,
Correale,
Tom.
what an honor to talk to you. I
Oh,
really
you're such a
appreciate it.
sweet man, Tom. And for the listeners, I have to say, this man, when I was going to Fredonia State, I took one acting class, and he was my teacher. And you did a monologue that literally made my jaw drop. I didn't know art could be done like that. You were playing an old man, you were doing some role, and you were like, let me do it for you guys. And it just opened up my eyes and my mind to the arts in a way that I grew up on Long Island. My dad was an architect. My mom was a teacher. You just didn't do art like that. We didn't do that. We played sports, and then you got a job, and you literally changed the direction of my what I decided to do with my life, man. I didn't become an actor because I don't do that very well. Even now, people are like, well, you want to audition? I always tell them, I go, I don't want to. I'd rather write something for somebody else. I've seen acting done well, and I can't do it as well as people like you. It's really such a great form. But you're a mensch, brother. You really are. It's always great to talk with you.
Yeah, it's always great to talk with you too, Pete. And I'm going to make a point to get backstage and say hi, give you a hug, catch
Please.
up with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
Bring your wife. Is she gonna be with you?
I think so. Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure she's got to meet you because
Yeah, I'd love to meet her. I'd love to meet her. I hope I get to.
you guys
Yeah.
can tell Italian stories to the cows come home.
Where do you see my opener too? This guy's a funny dude, but he's like a comic, and he lives on a houseboat in Vancouver, Canada.
Oh my God.
And he called into my radio show and made me laugh. We really hit it off. And he's been doing stand-up 12 years. But again, the passion. I want to keep finances down. I'm not even getting an apartment. I'm living on a boat in Vancouver in the winter. That's the kind of love and passion you gotta have for the shit we do, right, Tom?
That's it. That's it
Yeah,
in a
I love
nutshell. That's it.
All
right.
You're the best, baby. Nice
Okay.
talking with you.
You too.
All right, I'll see you this weekend. Oh,
Yes.
2 weekends.
2 weekends. I got 2 weekends for sure. All
All
right.
right. Take care, Tom.
Take care, Pete. Pete Correale will be at the 1891 Fredonia Opera House with his latest show, As I Was Saying, on Friday, November 21st and Saturday, November 22nd. Both shows begin at 7:30 p.m. The Friday performance is sold out, but there are still a few tickets left for Saturday, so be sure to act fast to get your tickets by calling the box office at 716-679-1891 or online at www.fredopera.org/tickets. A reminder that no large bags, backpacks, or duffels will be allowed in the Opera House, and no food or drink is permitted as well. Please help us preserve this beautiful Opera House for future generations. Thank you.
Snow, 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 snow. It won't be long before we'll all be there with snow.
Snow, snow. I want to wash my hands, my face, and hair with snow.
Snow.
And that's it for this Lake Effect edition of Notes from the Aisle Seat. My thanks to Don Marrazzo and Pete Correale for being my guests on this episode. Notes from the Aisle Seat is a production of the 1891 Fredonia Opera House in Fredonia, New York. For more information on any of the Opera House's events, call the box office at 716-679-1891. Visit the website at www.fredopera.org or email at operahouse@fredopera.org. Notes from the Aisle Seat is available wherever you get your podcasts and also on the Opera House YouTube channel. If you like this podcast, please consider following us by clicking the follow button on our home website at aisleseat.podbean.com and spreading the word through your social media feeds. If you have an arts event you'd like featured on the podcast, why don't you drop us a line at operahouse@fredopera.org and we'll see about featuring your event. Please try to give us a month's notice in advance if possible to facilitate timely scheduling. If you have any comments, suggestions, or criticisms of the podcast, just drop us a line at operahouse@fredopera.org. We'll be glad to receive your feedback. Our next episode will be available on Wednesday, November 26th, 2025. I'm Tom Laughlin, and until then, be safe out there and be kind to one another.
Those glistening houses that seem to be built of snow.
Snow. to see a mountain covered with a quilt of snow.